What if everything you've been told about financial freedom is wrong? Forget the endless hustle. The wealthy don't just manage money better, they think about time in a completely different way. They don't trade hours for dollars, they build systems that work while they sleep. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about understanding the single most misunderstood resource that separates the truly free from the perpetually busy. Imagine waking up tomorrow knowing your bills are paid, your future is secure, and your time is completely your own. What would you do with that freedom? For most people, that's a distant dream, but for a select few, it's a daily reality. They've cracked a code most never even see. It isn't about working harder or pinching pennies. It's about a fundamental shift in how you perceive time and money. The wealthy don't trade hours for dollars. They build systems that generate value while they sleep. They see money not as something to spend, but as a tool to buy back their most precious resource, time. While the average person is stuck in a cycle of earning and spending, the financially free have escaped that treadmill. They've learned to make their money work harder than they ever did. This isn't just a different strategy, it's a different psychology. And in the next 30 minutes, freedom awaits. Imagine two people standing at the edge of a forest. One sees a dance, the other sees a path, resources, and a system to be understood and navigated. This fundamental difference in perception is the very essence of the wealth gap. It isn't just about what's in their bank accounts, it's about what's in their minds. For generations, we've been taught a simple, linear formula for financial success. Go to school, get a good job, work hard, save diligently, and retire comfortably. This is the script most of us follow, the employee mindset deeply embedded in our culture. But what if this entire framework is based on a flawed understanding of the most critical resources we possess: time and money? The traditional model treats time and money as separate, linear commodities. You exchange your time for money at a fixed hourly or annual rate. Every hour you work is an hour of your life you cannot get back, directly converted into a specific monetary amount. This creates a hard ceiling on your earnings, as there are only so many hours in a day you can possibly sell. Your financial growth is intrinsically tied to the relentless ticking of the clock. Here's a twist. This is the reality for the vast majority, a reality where financial security feels perpetually just out of reach, a reward for a lifetime of grueling labor. The psychological toll of this trade-off is immense, fostering a scarcity mindset where every expense is a loss and every financial decision is laced with anxiety. Contrast this with the way financially free individuals perceive these same resources. They don't see time and money as separate entities in a direct trade. They see them as interconnected components of a dynamic system. Their primary goal is not to sell their own time, but to acquire assets, systems, businesses, intellectual property, investments that can generate money independently of their direct ongoing labor. In this investor-owner mindset, money is not just a means of consumption, it is a tool for acquiring or creating these income-generating assets. The ultimate objective is to break the direct link between your personal time and your financial inflow. This philosophical schism is rooted in two distinct economic paradigms. The employee model is a relic of the industrial age, designed for a workforce that powered factories and followed standardized procedures. Your value was your physical presence and your adherence to a schedule. The investor-owner model is a product of the information and capital age, where value is created through leverage, leveraging capital, technology, other people's time, and scalable systems. Neuroscientific research even suggests that these different approaches are reflected in our brain activity. The constant stress of the time for money trade can keep the amygdala, the brain's fear center, in a heightened state of alert, while a focus on building systems and assets engages the prefrontal cortex, associated with long-term planning and strategic thinking. Quick thought. A. When we talk about financial freedom, we are not merely discussing a target net worth. We are talking about a fundamental cognitive shift. It's about transitioning from seeing yourself as a trader of hours for dollars to seeing yourself as an architect of financial systems. This shift is the prerequisite for everything else. It's the map that allows you to navigate the forest, not just stare at the trees in despair. The journey to true wealth begins not with a dollar, but with a thought. It started with a simple realization that hit me while standing in line for my morning coffee. I was calculating how many minutes of work this latte would cost me, and suddenly, I saw the invisible cage I'd built around my own life. Most people trade hours for dollars without ever questioning the architecture of that exchange. But what if the entire system was designed to keep you on that treadmill? Consider the typical career path. You work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Your income rises, but so do your expenses. You get promotions, but your free time evaporates. You're running faster and faster just to stay in the same place financially. Does this sound familiar to anyone? I remember meeting Sarah, a marketing director earning 6 figures who confessed she felt poorer than when she made $50,000. Her lifestyle had expanded to consume every dollar she earned, leaving her trapped in golden handcuffs. The wealthy approach this completely differently. They don't see time and money as separate entities, but as interconnected resources that can be leveraged. While the average person thinks, how much does this cost? The wealthy ask, what will this purchase create? A rich person might pay $10,000 for a course, not because they have money to burn, but because they calculate it will help them earn $100,000 more per year. That's not spending. That's planting seeds. Meanwhile, the rest of us fall into what I call the time poverty trap. We're so focused on saving money that we waste our most finite resource: time. I've watched friends drive across town to save $3 on gas, spending an hour to save what they could earn in 15 minutes. We become penny-wise and pound-foolish with our own lives. The conflict isn't between being frugal or extravagant. It's between valuing your hours properly versus undervaluing them systematically. Think about the last major financial decision you made. Did you consider the time cost or just the dollar amount? When you take a job with a longer commute for slightly higher pay, you're trading irreplaceable hours for marginally more dollars. The math rarely works in your favor, yet we keep making these trades because we've been conditioned to think linearly about money. The wealthy build systems that generate money while they sleep. The rest of us trade waking hours for dollars until we're too tired to build anything else. I witnessed this tension play out dramatically with my friend Mark. He worked 80-hour weeks as a lawyer, constantly stressed about billable hours, while his wealthy client spent afternoons playing golf and making deals from the course. Mark was trading time for money at an exhausting rate, while his client had built assets that worked for him around the clock. The fundamental difference wasn't intelligence or work ethic. It was their understanding of leverage. This creates psychological whiplash for so many hardworking people. You're told to work hard, save diligently, and climb the corporate ladder, yet the rules seem different for those at the top. The conflict becomes internal. Part of you wants security through traditional employment, while another part suspects there's a better way. That cognitive dissonance can paralyze people for years, keeping them in jobs they've outgrown, but afraid to leap toward something new. What would happen if you stopped thinking in terms of hourly wages altogether? The wealthiest people I've studied measure their financial decisions by return on time invested, not just monetary return. They might pay someone $50 an hour to handle tasks they could do themselves because that frees up hours to focus on activities that generate $500 an hour. This mindset shift seems simple, but implementing it requires overcoming deep-seated beliefs about money and self-worth. The tension between these two approaches creates a fork in the road for anyone seeking financial freedom. One path leads to trading more time for more money in an endless cycle. The other requires building systems that separate your income from your direct time investment. Making that transition means confronting uncomfortable truths about how you've been conditioned to think about work, value, and what your hours are truly worth. What if the single greatest financial asset isn't something you can buy, but something you already possess in a limited, non-renewable quantity? Your time. The wealthy don't just manage money differently. They architect their entire existence around this one fundamental truth. They treat hours like a currency more valuable than dollars, because while you can always earn more money, you can never manufacture more time. This isn't about productivity hacks. It's a complete philosophical shift in how you view your life's most finite resource. Imagine two neighbors. One spends his Saturday meticulously washing his car, a 3-hour task that saves him the $50 a car wash would cost. He feels productive, frugal. The other pays for the car wash and uses those 3 hours to draft a proposal for a new client, netting a $5,000 contract. Both made a financial decision, but only one understood the true cost. The first neighbor saw the $50 saved. The second calculated the cost of 3 hours of his highest potential use. This is the difference between being busy and being effective. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. Consider this. This is the core of the rich person's time-money framework. They are not selling their time for money. They are leveraging money to buy back their time. The goal isn't to have a high hourly rate while you're working. The goal is to have your money work so that your hourly rate, when you are not working, is still immense. Passive income isn't just a revenue stream. It's a mechanism for reclaiming your sovereignty over your own calendar. Every dollar that works for you is a soldier you've sent to the front lines to free you from the battlefield of trading hours for dollars. Why do so many high-income professionals still feel trapped? They fall into the golden handcuffs paradox. They earn a fantastic salary, but the demands of the job consume all their waking hours. Their high income is directly tied to their personal labor. The moment they stop working, the money stops flowing. Their wealth is an illusion, built on a foundation of constant, exhausting effort. They have monetized their time so effectively that they have none of it left to enjoy. True wealth is the gap between your income and your personal time expenditure. Think of your financial life as a factory. Most people are the sole worker on the assembly line. If they get sick, tired, or want a vacation, production halts. The wealthy focus on being the factory's owner and chief engineer. They build systems, automate processes, and hire managers. They might spend a burst of intense effort designing the blueprint, but once the factory is humming, it produces value whether they are physically present or not. Your mission is to transition from the essential worker to the architect of the system. Stop asking, "What's my hourly rate?" and start asking, "How can I build an asset that pays me while I sleep?" This mindset shift changes every financial decision you make. It's why they'll happily pay for a housekeeper, a virtual assistant, or a financial advisor. To an outsider, it looks like laziness or extravagance. To them, it's a strategic deployment of capital. They are buying the most precious commodity in existence, focused, high-leverage time. They are offloading $30 per hour tasks to free up mental space and hours for $300 or $3,000 per hour thinking. It's not about being able to afford the service. It's about not being able to afford not to hire it. Consider the long-term math. An hour saved per day is 365 hours a year. That's over 9 40-hour work weeks of reclaimed time. What could you build, learn, or experience with an extra 9 weeks? Another angle. This is the compounding interest of time. Small, consistent investments in buying back your minutes yield massive dividends in life satisfaction and opportunity. The rich aren't just patient with their money. They are ferociously protective of their time. They understand that a life well lived isn't measured in the balance of a bank account, but in the richness of experiences and the freedom to choose what you do with your day. Your net worth is ultimately a tool to increase your life worth. Imagine a man who, after 20 years of diligent saving, finally reaches his retirement number. He's followed every rule. Why? Because his entire strategy was built on a single, fragile variable, a number in a brokerage account. He treated his life as a countdown, not a canvas. His portfolio grew, but his sense of purpose shrank. This is the fundamental flaw in a purely numerical approach to financial freedom. It ignores the human operating system required to actually enjoy the result. Consider a different path, one taken by a software engineer we'll call Anya. She didn't just track her net worth, she obsessively tracked her energy and attention. She realized her high salary came at the cost of constant cognitive drain, leaving her with no mental bandwidth for the very hobbies and relationships she was saving for. Her application of the rich's time mindset wasn't about retiring early, but about redesigning her present. She negotiated for a 4-day work week, taking a 20% pay cut for a 50% gain in life quality. That free day became her Life R&D Lab, where she started a small online business that, within 2 years, generated more monthly cash flow than her old 5th-day salary. Here's a twist. She didn't just save money. She systematically bought back her time and reinvested it into building a more resilient income structure. What separates Anya from the first man? She understood that financial freedom is a dynamic state of control, not a static finish line. The wealthy don't just accumulate assets. They architect systems that generate optionality. For them, a dollar is not just a unit of currency. It's a vote for a future action, a tiny employee that never sleeps. Pause for a second. This is the critical shift, moving from being a passive saver to an active allocator of both capital and time. Pause for a second. Look at Ben, a former marketing manager who fell for the side hustle hype. He drove for a rideshare service every evening, believing he was building his escape fund. After a year of exhaustion, he calculated his true hourly wage after gas, maintenance, and taxes. It was barely above minimum wage. He was trading his most irreplaceable asset, time, for a depreciating return. The rich would see this as a catastrophic misallocation. They ask a different question. How can I use a unit of capital to acquire or create an asset that pays for itself and then some? Ben eventually pivoted, using his marketing skills to create a digital course. The initial time investment was massive, but the result was an asset that generated revenue while he slept. The first model sells your hours, the second builds a machine. These case studies reveal a pattern. The conventional path focuses on deprivation and endurance, hoping the destination will justify the grind. The alternative, the one modeled by those who truly achieve freedom, is about intelligent design. It's about conducting a ruthless audit of your current resources, not just money, but your skills, your time, and your energy, and then re-engineering your life to create a self-reinforcing loop. In this loop, money buys time, and that time is used to create more value, which in turn generates more money and more time. Hard truth. It's not a number you reach, it's a system you live within. You know, it's funny. We spend so much of our lives chasing money, but we rarely stop to ask what we're really chasing. Is it the number in the account? The freedom to wake up and decide your day, the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're secure, the ability to help someone you love without hesitation. That's the real goal, isn't it? The money is just the tool. Think about the last time you felt truly, deeply free. Maybe it was a random Tuesday when you finished work early and went for a walk just because you could. Or maybe it was that moment you realized a bill was due, and instead of panic, you felt nothing. Just calm. That feeling, that's what we're building toward. Not just wealth, but spaciousness. Room to breathe. Room to be human. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need $1 million in the bank to start feeling that way today. You just need to shift your relationship with time. Stop trading hours for dollars and start building systems that work while you sleep. Stop saying, "I'm too busy," and start asking, what's actually urgent? The richest people I know aren't the ones with the flashiest cars. They're the ones who can take a Tuesday off to watch their kids' school play without guilt. They've mastered the art of buying back their attention. A quick story. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. What if you gave yourself permission to think bigger than your to-do list? What if your most valuable asset isn't your skills, your job, or even your savings, but your focus? Time is the one thing we can't earn back. Money comes and goes, but the moments we miss are gone forever. Don't let busy work rob you of a life you actually want to live. Go be intentional. Build something that outlasts you. And maybe, just maybe, take tomorrow off just because you can. You've earned more than a paycheck. You've earned your freedom. You know, it's funny. We spend so much of our lives chasing money, but we rarely stop to ask what we're really chasing. Is it the number in the account? The freedom to wake up and decide your day? The peace of mind that comes from knowing you're secure, the ability to help someone you love without hesitation. That's the real goal, isn't it? The money is just the tool. Think about the last time you felt truly, deeply free. Maybe it was a random Tuesday when you finished work early and went for a walk just because you could. Or maybe it was that moment you realized a bill was due, and instead of panic, you felt nothing. Just calm. That feeling, that's what we're building toward. Not just wealth, but spaciousness. Room to breathe, room to be human. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need $1 million in the bank to start feeling that way today. You just need to shift your relationship with time. Stop trading hours for dollars and start building systems that work while you sleep. Stop saying, "I'm too busy," and start asking, what's actually urgent? The richest people I know aren't the ones with the flashiest cars. They're the ones who can take a Tuesday off to watch their kids' school play without guilt. They've mastered the art of buying back their attention. A quick story. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. What if you gave yourself permission to think bigger than your to-do list? What if your most valuable asset isn't your skills, your job, or even your savings, but your focus? Time is the one thing we can't earn back. Money comes and goes, but the moments we miss are gone forever. Don't let busy work rob you of a life you actually want to live. Go be intentional. Build something that outlasts you. And maybe, just maybe, take tomorrow off just because you can. You've earned more than a paycheck. You've earned your freedom.